are listening to the Balancing Act podcast. Here's your hosts, Jamie Wonko and Joe Vitale.
Hey, guess what? We're back and we are officially recording.
Yes, we are. Hello and welcome to the Balancing Act podcast. I am Jamie Wonko here with Mr. Joseph Vitale. Hello, Mr. Vitale.
Hello, friend. How are you? It is very good to see you today.
It's been a few days, Mr. Vitale.
It has been a few days. It's good to see your smiling face.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you look a little sun-kissed.
A little bit. Yeah, I guess we got some things to catch up on today. Absolutely.
Yeah.
A little bit of sun never hurts anybody.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what else is never hurts anybody? That would be our season 3, which is brought to you. That was a rough segue. Our season 3, which is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, which is Teachers Insurance Plan. Make sure you check out their website, which is linked in our episode, for more information or to get a quote. Don't forget, Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees.
You did
All
it.
right. Yes. On a quick side note for Teachers Insurance Plan, this is the week after Teacher
Appreciation Week.
Teacher Appreciation Week. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they are doing a bunch of different giveaways off of their website. There's different links. They had like Uber Eats last week, and all sorts of different gift cards in the hundreds of dollars to appreciate teachers. And I think they're doing some stuff. If I'm not mistaken, it might be all month long. I don't know if I'm correct in that. So definitely, if you are a listener, check them out on Instagram at Teachers Insurance Plan. Because they have links in their bio to fill in for any of the contests and drawings that they have. And only one per week, I think it is.
Yeah,
it's like you can
and
only
you know
go
that
in
I
one per
am
week.
a big believer in Teachers Insurance Plan, and we're, as a family, we were very happy to make the switch over to them last fall. And my sister recently also signed up as a teacher for Teachers Insurance Plan. And, she just had to add, her kids came home from college and she had to add 2 more drivers. And, we shopped around a little bit. I love my Teachers Insurance Plan, but shoppers got to be shopping, right? And we shopped around, and they by far had the best quote. And of course, they were so nice on the phone. I'm her, executive assistant, so we do a lot of those kinds of calls together. And I was like, geez,
You missed your calling. You missed your calling.
Even the people at Teachers Insurance Plan that that pick up the phone are really nice to talk to. So
agreed. Yeah. I've been talking to them as well because our auto insurance is up in August, so we've been getting quotes and homeowners insurance and new divisions and blah 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 and all the things. So all the adulting things that everyone loves to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is. It's definitely a great relationship for us on the show, but also if you're looking for an auto insurance quote. And something else, which I did not know, which I learned since I do not normally do these things, is that in the state of New Jersey, you can cancel and switch your policy at any time. So you don't have to wait for your policy to actually run out. You could switch at any point, and then, basically have a different insurance carrier if you wanted.
Yeah.
This is...
they also actually, my sister also got renter's insurance with them.
Yes, which I think is they have all sorts of different divisions that they work with, and
so many.
Plymouth Rock, and so it was really cool.
Bundle and save and all the things.
Bundle and save, yeah, we're doing commercials on here for crying out, unprompted commercials, for sure. So, look, it's been a minute. I haven't seen your smiling face in a while, and you have been missed. Because we haven't seen you, so I think it's important for us to update our listeners and some of the things that have been happening over the last few weeks. We've been a little quiet on social media too, but we're kind of getting back into the swing of things now, and we definitely want to update everybody on some of the life events that have been taking place. So, hey Jane, what's been going on?
Yeah, so our article just came out in the NJA magazine, which was amazing. And I was reading it, and I, was looking at the introduction of it and really how the podcast itself was born out of this, desire to talk about life, work, family and managing everything. How do you balance everything? And, and so it was really reading it this week in particular was like, wow, like great timing for this uplifting article. And I'm so proud of us and everything that we've been doing together. But yes, we've been, social media has been very quiet. Actually posted something today for the first time in a lot of days because we were mourning, grieving the loss of our mom. So we've been in, quite a struggle for a long time, which I've talked about on the podcast before, and what it's like to be part of the sandwich generation and what that means. And so my mom went to heaven, and, we certainly all, had been told for a very long time that it was going to happen. But there's nothing really the same as when it actually happens. And, a lot of people can say things like, oh, you probably were preparing, but you're not prepared. And you are readying, but you're not ready. And, and so there was definitely layers to it. You don't want someone to be in pain anymore. And, if you believe in a higher power in a place, that's better than here, like I do, then, there is certainly comfort in that. So it was a lot. So we, definitely had to help her, in the final days and help each other. And my dad and my sister and I were there 24/7. And we were so proud that we had my mom home for the length of her entire illness, which I know a lot of people cannot do. And I can understand like the magnitude of that and just how difficult it was. And, the sense of pride that we had in being able to do what was so important. My dad felt was so important for her, and, what we really felt like was a mission. But yeah, so it's been, it's been something else. But her services could not have been any more perfect, and they were celebrating like her life and not her illness. They were celebrating all of the love that she gave so freely. And so it was something. Yeah, we're all going to try to figure out what exactly, what do our lives look like now, because it's very different.
There's a now what, right? Like now what?
Right. Yeah.
Which is one of the things I wanted to say today, and I've been running it through in my mind, was everybody knows that we're close and we're good friends and stuff like that. And everyone, many people were coming up to me afterwards. And when you weren't, there for a little while, like,
right.
hey,
Like I have missed more school this year. Of course we had a lot of stuff, which of course now what we'll talk about Jason's parents, but my husband's parents, right? And it's like we have a lot of stuff happening with them, but so we had missed. But at this point I really and I kind of say, like, obviously we're a teaching podcast by teachers for teachers. I have to say, I've had, losses of aunts and uncles and grandparents and things like that, but I never had a parent. And so I really was able to ask, like, what, I don't want to say this wrong, but like, what do you get? Like, what are you entitled to? And it is true. Like in New Jersey, we do have our teachers union, and I kind of want to know, like, what exactly is it? Because I have been exhausted and exhausting myself, for years at this point, genuinely. And so I am not rushing back to work. As much as I love my students, as much as I, know that they miss me, I know for my own mental health and well-being, like I need to give it a minute. And that's what I'm going to do. So I do. Yeah, I know you were saying people at work, we work in the same building. So people were asking you, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's not one person who's asked, like, when is she coming back? There's none of that.
No, yeah, I don't.
But like,
that.
So many people came up to me, and we were talking earlier today, and I made a comment to you about, like, you just don't understand how many people revere you and love you because so many people are coming up to me and asking, how you're doing. Have you heard from her? What's been going? And I've tried to give you as much space as possible, but at the same time, I'm like, hurting for you on so many levels because of what you and your family are going through, as well as all the other stuff that's been going on. You like so many people were asking about, how you were doing, how is your family, and just the way people spoke about you. Like, I can't even put into words how, positive people were and how much people care about you and your well-being. And that's why and everyone was like, I hope she takes all the time that she needs, because many of us know, some people know more details than others about what your journey has been over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And how much of a challenge that is to now, be in a place of pre-grief and now
grief. Yeah.
Dealing with the actual
grief.
thing.
Yeah. Anticipatory grief is very real, and it's such an interesting thing. What's so crazy is like watching I don't know, like when you were a kid and you were growing up, like, did your dad cry? Because mine did
really.
not. Mine
No,
cried.
Not really.
My dad cried. I
No.
remember when his father died. I was 6. And I remember it like so vividly. And then one time my mom was sick when I was like in college, and he cried 2 times.
My dad, when he like said goodbye to me when I went to college, I remember him being choked up and crying, but like not really something that.
Yeah. So there was
I think it's
something
more of the generation. Our dads are about the same age, so I think there's some of that.
Yeah.
But I know your dad has been very emotional through this whole thing.
He's been so emotional, and the last like few weeks, like there was like such a combination of like just seeing this like larger than life, like stronger than strong man sobbing, and and then we would like almost make a joke, shocked that I made a joke of something, but it was like, get it together, you big baby, get it together, you big baby.
I want to tell you something that was actually told to me today. I'm going to leave the person's name out of it, but they went up to your dad at the services, and they said at the wake, and they said, I work with Jamie, and they said very nice things about you, and your dad just said, and she made it a point to say it to me today. She said her dad was like so kind and gracious, and was just like, Jamie's just the best. And then he heard somebody else said the same thing about you, and then he said the same thing. And I can't tell you how I'm emotional right now, because like I wasn't there because I was away with my daughter for a celebration, which you knew about, and
of course,
and I know, my heart ached to not be there for you and your family. But just to know, like, in those moments, how people can find like grace and compassion to say wonderful things about others. Like, you're his daughter, so he's not going to be like, she sucks. Like, that's you know what I mean? Like, of course,
there were
he's going to
a couple of points of time though that like things were happening, and he like would like, he was like sobbing and like pointing to his heart and to me, and like, and it was just like, it was like sign language. It was like, and I know like there was no way that either of us were going to get through what we got through without each other. Yeah. And there was this sort of unspoken agreement that was going to be like, I'm here, you're here, we're together. This is it, Yeah. And and I have to say, like, the amount of people that showed up was amazing, and it really just shows like my mom, people just loved her, and like even like you're in a bed, right? I mean, you are bed bound, you are home bound, you have no use of your hands, you have no use of your feet, you cannot roll over, you cannot brush your own teeth, you cannot scratch your foot. Okay, like she could not move, she was stuck in her body, and she was awesome. Like, she was funny and kind and caring and loving and like very, very demonstrative in her love and sharing it. And to the point where she would, something would happen or we'd have to roll her to change her and do different things. And, if we hit her, hurt her, because just by the end, her body was just breaking down so badly that she was just such a it was like tissue paper. And we would say like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she'd say, why are you saying sorry? It's not your fault. And, it was something would happen. We would do something and she would say, things could always be worse.
That's like kind of the thing is though, like I'm listening to you talk about her and like, that's you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you could say to your balloon of faith that it's not, but like that's you. Like I told you the story today because it cracked me up when I'm outside today and I'm talking with Schwartzy. Hey, Schwartzy. And she's like, yeah, I went to the services. It was so beautiful. I was like, yeah, and I go up there and she introduced me to everybody as Petey's mom. And I'm like, Petey is Miss Schwartz's cat.
Of course, her son,
and then,
yes.
Just for you to be able to find humor in those moments.
Yes. I got caught. This is funny. Jody Edwards, we've interviewed Jody Edwards. Yes. She's a co-owner of Nicholas Creamery. And she's standing online. She's very good friends with my sister and has been for a long time. And my sister, as someone who is, going through some personal stuff and a separation and things like that, she had to stand there alone, this was like kind of like the first significant thing that she's done, like without a spouse partner, And so I was really like leaning on, towards her and trying to make sure that I was there supporting her. And
you're meaning Janine, because I lost my train of thought.
Yes, I mean Janine. No, and
you were talking about the woman from Nicholas Creamery.
Yeah, so I'm standing right next to my sister, and like there's Jody across the room, and the line, I have to say, like just never ended. We had like a 4-hour wake, and really the line never stopped the entire time. Like people had to park across the street. It was like pretty crazy, And so like I had like leaned over, I kept like leaning to my sister to try to add a little bit of levity. And I was like, oh my God, Jody's here. Do you think she brought us ice cream? Except Jody is some sort of like lip reader and saw me say it to Janine. So she came up, she's like, I saw you. No, I don't have any ice cream. And I was like, well, you could have brought some. But it was really important to my dad. Yeah, it was so important to my dad. Also, my sister and I had 7 kids in 7 years. So the row of kids, the line of kids is 20 and 19 and almost 18 and almost 18, double, and then 14, 13, 13, right? So it's like a lot of people in a row. And my dad's request was that he wanted us all to stand in birth order the entire time. And, and I've had a couple people who have said like the image of all of those teenagers and everyone's phones were collected, and they never left the room. Mm-hmm. Unless someone had to run to get like a little bit of water or something, like they stayed like that the entire time. And I just feel like there was something like very powerful, like for my mom and for my dad to have that. No, this is a united front, and like this is what you do, and this is how you stand, And so there were like little things like that I know that I'll kind of take with me. But I don't know how you feel about this, and I don't know if it's weird or not. But I feel like this is part of kind of something that I might want to share, and like maybe we can put in this episode. Mm-hmm. If you could work like your editing magic,
sure.
But like I did the eulogy.
Yes, which I want to shout out Robin for sending it to me. My plan was actually to watch it before we recorded today.
Okay.
But even when we recorded, in the comedy of life, my wife was grooming our dog last night and nipped his ear and had to bring him to the vet for staples today, right after work.
Staples.
So it was,
no.
She was beside herself for doing it, but like I didn't get a chance to watch it. But anyway, yes. I'm sorry.
Well, no. So what I was wondering is, what you thought about maybe putting it in this episode.
I can absolutely.
Okay, because it's about 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell our listeners, and obviously if they don't want to, listen to it, or they can always like fast forward through it, or but felt really, I had this like deep, compelling, it was just like cellular to like just pulling me towards doing this. And my mom got sick in September, August really of 22. And then in September of 23, we were told she was going to pass away. It was my birthday weekend, and we were sitting at the dining room table. My dad was like, okay, Janine, you're going to this, and Jamie, you're going to this, and we're going to this, and we'll go here, and this is where we have, the funeral home and all the details. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, like I am going to give the eulogy, and how am I going to write this? I'm distraught. So the very first draft of what I spoke last week was started on September 12th of 2023. And for me, it was a living, breathing document. It's like they always say that about the Constitution, but it was like this person. I mean, it's true. It was like this person that I went to every time we went through like a new phase or something happened, I added to it. Mm-hmm. If I heard something that was significant to me or meant something or I felt like I was changed from it, I put it in. And I have gone to funerals before, and obviously being Catholic, the priests, sometimes they know the parishioners. I mean, my mom couldn't go to church because she can't leave the house. So she had people coming to her, but it wasn't the same. So we knew, but I mean, the priest did a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. He was amazing. But it wasn't going to be like someone who goes to a certain parish or something week after week because she couldn't. Yeah. And so anyway, I just felt so driven so compelled in that time where you have less than 10 minutes to say to everyone that loved this person that took off from work and showed up to say their final goodbyes, everything that, it's like, how do you do that in 7 minutes?
I had multiple people say to me, like, what you said was so beautiful and poignant and wonderful, and that the strength that you showed to be there and do that, which my thought to myself was like, I am not shocked, because I know the kind of person that you are and how you can, let's say, rise to the occasion.
Good morning. Our mother loved her childhood. She loved her parents. She loved her brothers, and she loved being Irish. She loved the city of Newark and being raised there. She loved swimming. She loved being a majorette, baton twirler. And she loved talking about her first car. She was a hard worker and loved being a dental assistant, a career which began in high school. In high school, when our parents met, our dad was a college prep student and mom was a fun-loving secretarial major. We always laughed at this because she cannot type or take shorthand. When asked by the yearbook to list her favorite class, she wrote homeroom. And it just spoke to her love of all things social. This was great for my dad because he's more of a low-key type person, and my mom brought out the best parts of him. Mom was a great friend and is still friends with the lady she met in grammar school in Down Neck, Newark, her beloved city. Loving her friends and seeing them, talking to them, was such a big part of who she was. My dad came from a much bigger family than hers, and she loved his siblings like they were her own. Most of them were younger than her, and they came to see her as a sister. For the last 4 years, while she was bedbound and homebound, some of her most cherished days were visits from the kids. Every visit with the great nieces and nephews gave her more joy than we can express, and we thank those of you who came to see her. You have no idea how much joy and deep sense of connection that your visits brought her. My father provided my mom with every single thing a person could ever need. He never ever said no to her. She was a great partner for him, patient, easygoing, frugal, and willing to sacrifice. The very definition of love was not just displayed in the last 4 years with the love and care he provided her, but over the 60-year dedication they had to taking care of one another. They made promises to one another and never went back on them. The end-of-life care she receives is not their whole story. It is only a small piece of it. We can all say that we were part of a genuine love story that was steeped in respect, mutual admiration, and unfettered devotion. He needed her as much as she needed him. Janine and I are proud of the example of selfless devotion we were raised in. Devotion is the balm that eases life's great pain. I think as parents, we would all like to believe that our kids look back on their childhoods and feel that they gave them all that they needed. I can say that about my own experience. Every day with our mom was a sure day. Can I take out the champagne glasses and play rich people? Sure. Can we remove the silverware and use its partition as a cash register? Sure. Can you pick up our kids on a half day of school? Sure. Can you live with us after we bring home preemie NICU twins and help us feed them round the clock? Sure, of course. You couldn't even tell my mom something she was eating looked good, or she would insist on sharing it with you. Never was there a more selfless person. She never snooped, she never pried, she was never a nag. She made it so that Janine and I wanted to share everything we could with her, and as we came to say, we were addicted to being near her. There was never a day that we didn't speak to each other multiple times, not a summer of living together that wouldn't end in tears because we would miss seeing each other so badly. Jason couldn't wait to run to get her a coffee and watch Wheel of and Jep with her. Everyone always wanted to be near her. Over the last few years, not a weekend went by that she didn't say, "I wish you could live here with me. Waiting for you every Friday feels like waiting for Christmas." I will never be the same again. None of us will ever be the same again. But the shape of our beings and the embodiment of who we are is because of her love. And we will honor her by living as she would, from a place of love, laughter, and always answering as she would. Sure. My mother would ask, why would God do this to me? I lived my life in kindness. Tough questions to hear for the most kind and cherished mom one could have. And as it came to pass, while I began in resentment, I ended in reverence for our God that tells us to forgive, and that it was okay for me to be angry when I needed to be, but that in the end, all is left up to him. Grief, even anticipatory grief that comes with a long, cruel illness like our mom's, is really just love that has no place to go. When our mom got sick, the doctors told us she had less than 6 months to live. That was nearly 4 years ago. Even while suffering a debilitated illness that had no treatment or cure, her ability to make others laugh and find joy in everyday life was unparalleled. In contrast to the deep sadness in her life, our mother was always remarkably able to find the sunshine. Her light is not dimmed because it shines on in the faces of the 7 most incredible people in her world. Possibly the role that she loved the most, Nana, is everything that everyone should aspire to be. We would often argue who loved Kira more, and she would usually win. Kira and my mom have the same initials, KG, and she was forever changed the day Kira decided to call her Nana. Cole was her first baby boy, and she would light up at the mere mention of his name. My Cole buddy, she would say. Her handsome Colin, Call J, was always making her smile, and her Drewster, knew just how to snuggle on her lap for hours. Kylie, Avery, and Bryn came along when we thought there would be no more grands, so the hikes up and down the parkway started again. Kylie, her strong and independent beauty, Avery, her tiny sweetheart, and Bryn, her personal barista, who loved her Nana. They are all better people because of the unconditional love and devotion of time they received from her. School plays, concerts, games, art shows, and ceremonies. No event too insignificant. They always knew Nana and Poppy would be there, always. And no one can ever take those memories away from any of you. Before she got sick, you could find my mother chatting with the workers at the Wawa, cleaning up the coffee bar. She truly lived the motto, always leave a place better than you found it. With patience and kindness, she walked this earth, an angel to all who knew her. We have no question there is a special place in heaven waiting for her where she can finally be without pain. So when you hear good music playing, stop and have a dance for her. When you notice a shamrock, stop and send her an Irish blessing. And when you can tell someone you love them, say it like she would, over and over, without pause or reservation, and blow numerous kisses at the end of every conversation, lingering for an extra moment, as if it might be the last time you get to hear their voice or cover their face with kisses. My mom called me her heart, and our connection will always be greater than this world. And now, with my own heart left, incomplete forever, I leave you with this. You know that place? The place between sleep and awake? The place where you can always remember dreaming? That's where I'll love you. That's where I'll be waiting. For this we wish to our beloved wife, Mom, and Nana. We all can't wait to see you there. Thank you.
I knew this was like the finite end of things over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Just from how you were talking and how things were going. But
Yeah.
I know there was this air about you where you were like, oh, they told us she's going to pass away again. Here we go again.
I
and it's
couldn't
like,
commit. I know. I
and you were just
couldn't
like, oh,
commit
okay,
to it.
so in another 2 weeks, another month, they'll tell us she's going to pass. And then, like, because it was literally September of 2023 and then
Yeah.
whatever in 2024.
Over and over and over again. And I'm going to tell you,
this
until
past
she took
Easter
her-
in April, like, it was like, you know, all the things.
I couldn't until I mean, and I'm going to tell you, we were there, and it's so wild. The hospice people kept telling us, you have to get out of the room because oftentimes people will not pass away if their loved one is in the room with them. And you do hear this like a lot from many, many people. And so my sister had fallen asleep, and my mom's caretaker and my dad and I, she was leaving, she was leaving every day at 2:00, and there was a terrible fire in Beach Haven West. Did you see any of the pictures of that?
I did not.
Oh my goodness. So the night before, Wednesday night, that was April 29th, they, all of a sudden I'm like, what is that? And we could hear sirens and sirens and sirens. It was nuts, Joe. I mean, it was crazy. And we were like, what in the heck is going on? And I was in the kitchen and I was like, oh my God, I see it. So we went on the front porch. Then we went upstairs in my parents' house because we're so much higher up. It was so awful.
Wow.
So yeah, it was crazy. The house is completely gone. The people were not home, thank goodness. And then the houses on either side were struck as well. But so it was like the nurse came at 1:30. This was Thursday. The nurse came at 1:30. She said, just keep doing what you're doing and there's no change. And my sister was actually had fallen asleep like halfway through the visit because we had to be up every single hour. So it just, you know how that is.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. And it was like every 2 hours for a couple of days, and it was every hour. And so my dad said to me, so the nurse left and said, just keep doing what you're doing, guys. She'll go in her own time. And Karen was leaving, and my dad said, oh, you want to go see the fire? Like, do you want to go drive and see it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. This was like, I don't know, 2:00.
Mm-hmm.
We were gone. It was 2 blocks away. We were gone like all of 8 minutes, if that. I mean, the time it took us to drive down the block, look at the house, and drive back home. And we walked in the door. I looked and I was like, oh, she's gone.
Yeah.
It was like, but I'm going to tell you that even in that moment, it took me a while to realize, like, is it for real? Really, because we just, but the people who do that, it's always like, we always joke like, oh, we could never teach kindergarten,
I don't know how people do that on a
I don't know how people do that.
and deal
But
with that.
also, like, I don't know how people are hospice nurses.
No.
Like your
I
job
don't
is,
know.
is
You
death
try.
and dying. But these women, my God, they are outrageous. I mean, talk about a calling. It's really, it's unbelievable.
I don't know how.
Genuinely.
I just don't know how somebody
But
does
thank
that.
God they do.
Yeah.
Thank God
And
they do.
I don't know if there's this like superpower I can put blinders on and not see past, like, or project yourself into it. Like, listen, I know it's a pet. I'm not making the exact same thing. I was literally watching a movie yesterday, and there was a scene where they put a dog down, and I was like, I can't watch this.
Couldn't do it.
I was like, I fast forwarded the 15 seconds, and I was like, I'll just go to something else. Like those types of things affect me in regards to loss. I think a lot of it because, of things that I've gone through, but like I haven't went through what you've went through. You know what I mean? So
Well, no, I mean, but you don't have to have empathy for it.
Yeah, no,
there's
I
not. Yeah, but it is, and it's like, she came. Our nurse came to the wake, which was so lovely. We got so close with her, and and my dad even said, like, what am I gonna do? Like, the next day he was like, what am I going to see her again? Because you just become like, it's such an intimate situation with people,
Yeah.
And so I said, let's call her. We called her. She was so great. She came to the wake, and she said, my mom had chosen to have a closed casket, and she said, oh, okay, because if there's someone, like, I can't do it. I can't see a dead body. Isn't that like banana, right? And it's like, whoa, like you are a hospice nurse, and you were telling us like this is going to happen, and the breathing's going to happen, and then this is like, and you were all the things, and like nothing seemed to bother you, right? So it was just like, it was so human in that moment of like, yeah, everyone has, like, even if you're that close to it and like that's what you do, like even in that moment you have, that like particular, like, oh no, that's everybody has a limit,
Yeah.
like everyone has like sort of a stopping point. But yeah, so I feel like my only really, because everybody's situations are so different, and I know like recently we had a good friend of the pod that told us like everybody's cuts burn, and and it is true. But I have to say that the thing that gave me so much peace was what I was able to speak on her behalf.
Yeah.
And how I was able to put that out into the universe. And my mom has some friends that live in different parts of the country, a brother in Washington, and her best friend in Las Vegas. And people are getting older. It's very difficult to travel, and so my one aunt had said, can you please live stream this? And we had not really even, that wasn't like on
That was the first, when you sent the link to me, that was the first time that I saw and
that
so they actually
I guess
did that. Like
funeral,
I didn't know that you could do that.
You can, and the church, give us $100, and we, would you like, I swear, give us $75 for one camera and $100 for two cameras, and we were like, we'll take two cameras for, but yeah, so yes, which I mean, it's, I get it. Like, there's of course this business aspect of, part of it was, my dad and I had talked about all of those like little intricacies for so long. And, and so there is this reality. You know me, I am very much a realist. So I don't mind what is it going to cost? Is it worth the price? How do we feel? You have to kind of do that. Like, really what feels right to you.
Yeah.
And every single detail of what she wanted, what my mom wanted, and every single moment of, where we put our kids into everybody had a part, all 7 kids. Kira spoke so beautifully on behalf of the kids, and her speech was amazing. It was just so perfect. And everybody that came, and I have to say, it is such a reminder of like what the point of life is, and like what we're here for. Because in those moments, like that's what's important. It is the relationships that you build and you grow and you foster, and what you pour into, and the things that you enjoy and love, because that's all really that matters.
Yeah. And at the same time, like that's why people, there's a lot of people that showed up to this thing. because of how they feel about you. Like, you need to know that. Like, yeah, it was for your mom, but like, there are so many people that feel like, about the joy and the levity that you bring to our jobs each and every day, and just, finding those little moments. Like, you bring joy to a lot of people, myself included. And, there's
Pally.
Yeah, and there, well, yeah, and there's a lot of people that showed up because of that too. So, like, I think when you were saying before about the things that your mom would do, she's like, well, it could be worse. Like that's, but that's you. Like that's you, and I think there's some of her spirit in you, which you'll carry with you throughout the rest of your life. Like, there's a lot of people that revere you very much and care about you and care about your well-being, and they want to see you, but they're like, don't come back to work. Take as much time as you want.
Yes, I know. Well, my sister today was like, you didn't really even take maternity leave, which is funny, because sometimes you kind of need to hear, like, you need someone to tell you, like, because obviously I've been working, and you just go to work, and then you're like, work, and I'm running and going, and so our allowance is 5 days. 5 work days, right? And so that would give me like about a week of time,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can take 7 consecutive sick days immediately after, and so I said, you know what, I'm going to give myself a couple more days, I feel like. I feel like I need it, and I do also want to make sure that my dad is okay, and I can go, I can go there and be with him, and I don't have to, feel like I'm really flattened out with all the running, because it was such an exhausting week, like, leading up to her passing. And this is the reason that, like, almost 50-year-olds don't have babies, because this body is not made to get up. I mean, we were every 2 hours for 24 hours, and then every hour for 24 hours. So to set the iPhone alarm 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:00, it was like, to do that. And of course, we were so, it was very important that we do it. And it meant everything to us. But at the same time, you're doing it, and then you don't realize, like, the exhaustion that comes after, because you're just such in a state of, like, perpetual motion. But yeah,
and there's also a lot of things I think that all of the kids saw in how you guys handled that situation. I think there's this, hidden curriculum of what you've taught them through how you've approached, life and death, for that matter. Right.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that a lot of kids don't learn. Like, there's a lot of parents that sometimes shield their kids from that. Like, they don't take them to funerals, or they don't take them to, bad family things, to, like, expose them to that stuff, because they don't want them to feel pain or discomfort. But unfortunately, that's a lot of what life is.
And it just doesn't stop. We all know that. It keeps going, and sometimes you want everything to stop. But I mean, talk about the highs and the lows. Like, we were trying to figure out, what was the good day and not a good day, and then, like, how are the kids, and does anybody have a schedule conflict, and, like, how do we work around it? And we have 7 kids, and 6 of the 7 of them are graduating this year. So we were kind of like, okay, and then we'll this, and then we'll that, and and it kind of, we were saying, like, my mom was so, like, even in her date that she chose, it was like her kindness and polite sort of caring about everybody. It was like the most, like, in between everybody around.
Now, let me just get myself out of the way so everybody else can, move on with their big accomplishments.
And
even
even my niece had to go to, like, she had a class trip that was overnight in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah,
and
I saw
even
that.
Like, even that didn't. We were like, gosh, Mom, but she was always so considerate, and so it was definitely It's some of it I don't know. I know Drew won this award, and I thought to myself in the car when we left, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to call mommy and tell her. She's going to be so excited. And it was like,
there's a lot of that. Grief shows, closure is not like this door that's just
No.
there. It's those little moments where it's going to be like, oh, let me just call. Nope, can't do that.
Yeah.
And like, I get that completely. I made it a point to reach out to everyone in your family, as I alluded to
They
before.
They told
yeah,
me. Yeah.
Yeah. I reached out to Janine and all the kids because my daughter and I were in. Jamie made a comment of me being sun-kissed. My daughter and I were in Orlando this past weekend because we had booked a trip back in around Christmas time for my daughter as a surprise, because we've always talked about going to Disney World for Star Wars weekend, right? So we were there with all and I many times. What made me laugh is like Sophia and I would be talking about something, and I did something. I was like, here's what Miss Wanko does anytime I start talking about stuff like this. And they just started going, nerds, nerds, nerds. From Revenge of the Nerds.
Talk about an opportunity to say nerds, nerds, nerds.
I made a point when we went out to dinner to get a good bourbon and toast your mom and send you a picture. And I reached out to every, all the kids and to your dad.
And I have to tell you, like, Drew was super moved by Joey.
I told Joey, and Joey was Joey was really upset.
Yeah,
Joey was
our
upset
boys
for his
are super
friend.
close. Yeah, and they're not necessarily the most demonstrative, wordy, eloquent. Right? I mean, so for him for Drew to stop and really
my son has a small circle, but It was really. He's loyal to the people that are important to him. So, and that's your son, and to you, and to And I also want to give a little. I struggled mentally last week, and I realized it's not me, and I don't want to make this about. I'm not making this about me, but like I struggled mentally last week a lot because I was going to be away during this, and I was like, is she going to be upset with me that I'm not there? And I was like projecting onto myself, which was so effing stupid, because I knew the answer to that question. And, I knew, like, I said to my wife, I said, like, hey, can you go down? She's like, I have the thing with my mom in Staten Island, because my mom, my mother-in-law, went to, lived in New York, and people in Staten Island. And after my father-in-law passed away, like, she takes her there every year for this big family event. Yeah. And I was away, and, I texted your husband. I say, hey, man, I'm sorry about your mother-in-law. And he said, like, oh, man, enjoyed Disney this weekend, because he remembered. And and he wasn't being sarcastic, and I was like, dude, I'm so broken up that I'm not going to be there this weekend. I was like, seriously? He's like, dude, I'm not being sarcastic. Like, he said to me, and it kind of set me at ease, where he just went like, hey, it's not movie tickets. Like, as like Jason would do. You know what I mean?
Of course. Absolutely.
And I just needed that in that moment. And other people were like also kind of knew that I was struggling, because I wanted to be there for you and for your family, and not that I wasn't, because I was there mentally, but I just wasn't there physically. Yeah.
But you've been there for the whole time.
No, and I know that.
And you'll be here.
And somebody else,
because there's a lot of time ahead of us. This is.
And that's why the other thing that I want to say is about, like, Brittany, your friend, but our mutual friend, said to me, like, hey, she's going to understand, and at the same time, like, you're going to be there for her on all the times in the future for all this, and I just want you to know that I will be.
I know.
So, this journey has been a difficult one for you. I know this is going to, like, I don't mean this to sound insensitive. I'm glad there's an end to this for you and your family, because I know how fraught with grief you guys have been, and knowing that this is something that could that dragged on for as long as it did is very, very heart-wrenching. And to see you guys do it, but also to do it with grace and compassion and with love for your family members, I think is a lesson that everybody can take away from this. So
thank you. And I do want to say, if we obviously we'll talk about this on different episodes and things like that, but in the future. If we have any listeners that have any questions or need anything, I unfortunately know more than somebody should on the system and what to do and what not to do. And I really would love to be a resource for anybody out there who is unsure and struggling with elder care, because we certainly made a lot of mistakes in the beginning and things we just didn't know anything about. And, more than anything in your life, just like small children, our older generation needs advocates.
Yeah.
You need to advocate on behalf of your elderly family members, because they need you so much. And, but I appreciate all of your kind words, Mr. Vitale. I appreciate you very much.
Yep. I appreciate you too, friend. I will forgive you from not being able to meet with me for lunch for a couple weeks, because I'm glad that you are taking some time to yourself and to get your mind right before you come back. And it's also May, and it's bananas.
I was like, Mom, big ups for the making me allowing me to miss testing, state testing. I was saying that to her last week, like, Mom, it's state testing.
That's funny.
It's cool. Nobody.
So the other thing, you did allude to it, I do want to mention, if you're one of our listeners, if you're in the state of New Jersey, there's a little magazine that's out, the NJEA Review magazine. We have an article in that, which was written by Jamie, but has some of my voice in it, because I am not one that's good with words.
And we were helped very much by our beloved Dilo. Editing. Yes. So thank you to her for editing. I sent it to her today, actually.
Yeah. Please check out
Please
check out the article.
Check out the article. And just remember, our season 3 is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Teachers Insurance Plan. Check out their website for more information and to get a quote. Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees.
Hey, friend, I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you.
And it's good to have this episode.
I can't wait to see you in person.
Yeah, I know. It's been a crazy couple days. So
yeah.
All right. We'll see everybody next time on the Balancing Act podcast.
Bye.
Look for the Balancing Act podcast every week on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of our audience. We appreciate you.